I'm Chris, recovering academic and part-time human. After finishing graduate school, I decided to pursue a career as an artist. 9 months ago, my fiancé and I moved from the New York City area to Los Angeles, California. After mixed results, I decided to go back to Manhattan to reconnect with the greatest city in the world. I passed the Statue of Liberty and arrived in Manhattan like so many of our ancestors, aboard the Miss New York. I made my way to the symbol of economic equality, the charging bull sculpture in the financial district. Since 1987, Arturo de Modica's bronze sculpture has inspired nothing but confidence in the American economic system. I quickly remembered the feeling of being incarcerated by all the people packed into the tight little streets. So I ran to the corner of Broadway and Wall Street to Trinity Church. In addition to being one of the country's oldest churches, it's so peaceful that time seems to stop. History and pop culture collide on the burial grounds at Alexander Hamilton's tomb. You probably haven't heard, but there's a little musical about him on Broadway. You might want to check that out. Inside, the architecture always takes my breath away. This time I even got to see a live show. Unfortunately, it wasn't Black Sabbath. I'm not a religious person, but meditating in the chapel was really a spiritual experience. And on the way out, I lit a candle for America. If God does exist, we're gonna need His help to rebuild after this year's presidential election. As a historian, I love connecting to New York's past. But the city is inspiring because it's a place of reinvention. Forward movement, and freedom.
Sound like you want it. Don't you want it?
But sometimes going back home can feel as lonely and precarious as walking down the High Line, Manhattan's public park operated high above the city streets. Thousands of people head to Times Square every day, so I figured I would definitely be welcome there.
Fuck you, man.
After that experience, I felt almost as rejected as I did the 3 times NYU refused me admission. If you're counting, that's at the BA, MA, and PhD levels. But I was determined not to let New York get me down. I grabbed a pastrami on rye with extra mustard and walked the Lower East Side. I hit the former home of the city's most famous music venue, CBGB. Founded in 1973, CBGB stood for Country Bluegrass Blues. It was the home of New York's punk movement, giving bands like Television, Talking Heads, Blondie, and the Ramones their starts. But sadly, today, 315 Bowery is the home of a John Varvatos clothing store. But I knew that if I went to Tompkins Park, I, could hang out there and maybe meet a very friendly member of the community.
Fuck out of my neighborhood, you poor Philly hippie!
When it was time to return to Los Angeles, I wasn't sure where I belonged. But I knew that New York, for better or worse, for good or bad, would always feel like home.
What are you talking about?
The lizards tonguing each other.
Oh yeah.